Hello, welcome to the Reframing Mindset podcast, where I clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity and practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day. Okay, so welcome back to Reframe Mindset Podcast. My name is Colin Smith Brooks. I know this episode is going to talk about compound interest and compound learning, and I think these are two important terms that kind of give me an idea of how my success came at how it came, because it's some of it can be linear, some of it were linear, some just came out of nowhere. But it when you actually look into it or stuff like that, it kind of makes it it kind of makes sense how it came, and I guess so. Let's get into it. So you have the two terms: compound interest and compound learning. Well, I'm not talk about. You know, I thought that I came up with the term compound learning, but I actually Google the term and it actually exists. So, so I didn't come up with the term compound learning. But my 2 cents on this term compound learning is that, you know, everything in life, the simplest of things, you can learn something new from it, and it's on this journey it's 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 been a very eye-opening experience to see some things that basically give me either inspiration or make me learn something new that I could apply to myself to actually get myself into a better position. And it can be something really not related to what I was doing, just simply something random. Because my my degree is in biochemistry, which is all good and all, and which has helped me. That knowledge that I've learned has helped me in this whole corona period, this whole corona pandemic. That's a science knowledge that basically helped me into getting um, help me keep myself as safe as possible during this pandemic. But not only that, in learning the science knowledge, you learn some analytical thinking, and that kind of helped me go on my journey, in the real world, not in school, where I'm not in school and stuff. In the real world, my analytical approach to things due to my upbringing in the science field kind of made me approach things a certain way where some other persons, where if they were in the same position, they would not really know how to tackle that certain problem or not. Me having practice and rigorous training in that field, it kind of made me approach some of those things become easy. And not only that, one of the things that also helped me is that, listening to people, just going around, listening to people, see new things. One of the things that on this journey that I did that also kind of helped me was, every time I go to a new place, I always kind of take my time and just basically travel around and find new areas, yeah, find new places that I never thought I could really go into. I found out, oh, it was just free entry and such like that. So that's one of the things where um just you taking things one day at a time. Every day a new knowledge just may just come to you that can help you make your that you can apply to your business, make it better, or to yourself to make yourself better, and then back to compound interest now and compound learning. And also, my podcast now, the Reframe Mindset podcast, can be a good example of those two combining together. So, and how those two come together is that. So, my podcast is basically me talking about my experiences, funny experiences, interviews, and things that I've been doing on this journey. And the podcast basically, once you listen to an episode, there I get some sort of the ad kind of get some income from it. So you as a listener, each episode, you might from each episode you might learn something new that can help you on your journey, while also it gives me income, and that's how it basically conjoin the two, where basically the podcast is me basically talking about things that I've experienced and learned, and that's due to me having various interests. I watch a lot of stuff now. I kind of read more books, and not really more books, but I read certain more books more often now, and those things kind of give me new perspective on life and things that I would do and such like that. And it allowed me to give you new topics to basically talk about on here, which can either help you or maybe not help you, but either way, it's just either way, the podcast is just basically, 100 and over 100 odd episodes of me documenting my journey and the things that I've learned. So each episode is basically new knowledge and now and the income generating episode, which so it's basically um over time now, if for example you as a listener listen to one of the episodes and I said, okay, yeah, I'll listen to one of the episodes and say, okay, this sounds like pretty good information, let me apply it to my life. Boom, I do it, and then you listen to the episode, I get income from the you will listen to one episode, and then you apply it to your life, you will get maybe richer or better or a better person. Next day you come and listen to another episode, and then you do the same. You find something again that can help you. Do it again, you get richer and I get income, and then what that basically happen is that over time you may even get so happy from this podcast that you basically recommend it to someone else, because after sometimes if you basically listen to the episode and find something new that you can apply to yourself, the change will you will reflect the change that the podcast is doing to you, because you may start talking different, acting different, looking different, better or worse, but you start you have new knowledge every day and such like that you can apply to your life, and you'll find out about new opportunities, because the podcast also have interviews of people that come from different backgrounds and such. So you have various over time you basically change, and people will see the change in yourself and then ask, so what really contribute to that change? And then you'll say something like, oh, I've been listening to this podcast named the Reframe Mindset podcast. And it's like, oh, you listen to podcasts? I said, yeah. At some point, you might deny it at first. I know you might deny it at first, but over time, you'll get comfortable and say, yeah, I do. And then you recommend it to the person, then they listen it, and then they get the information and actually apply it to their life, and they change it, and that's how it grows. That's how right now there are basically 1,800 plays, and what's funny, most good amount of those plays come in Jamaica, that is not a popular podcast country, and so the 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 knowledge is going around, and people are listening, but are people applying? That's that's a question for another day. But I know that if you as a person, the listener, apply some of these things every day, over time, over time, your success will compound in that at the start it will take some time to basically get the gist. Get the gist. Like for example, the 90 days to change your life, how I basically do it. It will take some time to basically get yourself into doing that, because you have to break yourself out of your old mindset to get into the new mindset. And but once you get it, every day you basically make an incremental progress, and then basically over 1 month time, something that will may take 1 week to do your when you just begin, it start to take basically like 1 day. For example, how basically the podcast episode now, the podcast episode now is basically more refined than when I just started, but it's the same time, basically the same time. Every episode takes the same time to basically edit and release. No matter how long or short it's basically the same time, because over time I basically learn how to do it and such like that, so it becomes routine. So it's the same thing with you. Basically, what if you're learning a new skill? When you're just starting, it might take you a week to basically get one term and how to use that term right, and how to use maybe a new skill right and such like that. But just basically dedicating yourself basically 1 month to basically mastering that craft. Yeah, 1 month later, that craft becomes second nature, and then you and basically I think that is the difference between maybe an amateur and an expert in an area such like that. Is basically the time, certain time taken to, they say it takes 10,000 hours or something like that to become a master of something. And it's that that statement is basically compound compound learning, where it take over time, take a month or a year or such to basically learn a topic or such, or anything, and then boom, 1 year later, if it takes a long time, people will say, okay, why is this person taking wasting his time learning this thing? But over 1 month time, you basically apply this one thing, and it becomes your one skill that is so good. You just love it. It's like basketball. When I was starting playing basketball, I would do my only skill my best skill was basically stealing the ball. That was my one good skill. And then over time, but I did well, but over time when I trained and such like that, I learned how to shoot better, learn how to defend better and such like that. And that is over years. So I started off basically trash. I never played basketball before until I started in high school. And over time I started from trash, and then over time I never really got to be one of the I wasn't I never really thought of myself one of the best, but because of practice and practice, our team became so good my last year playing that I made the all-star team, just because of just basically compound learning, going to training every day and just doing it, practicing over and over. And the same thing with you, just take a time, learn a skill over and over, and refine it till it's good enough to where you can apply it quickly. It just becomes like this. And then what happened now, you basically find a way to monetize that skill that you know how to do. You just basically find a way to make money from it in a good legal way. Legal way. And then what happened is just basically apply that over and over for a month or so. And you realize, boom, compound interest. So the small success just basically over time, just slowly just doing it, and then boom, you just get this reach here. It's like how I'm basically at this new place now, my own place now. Is like, you know, you might just hear that, you might just listen now and say, "Oh, I want my own place now," but you don't realize that that is just simply because of every day from 2018 when I left university until now, that which is 2022. Every day I've been trying to find something new or learn something new that basically helped me in somehow until eventually I found something, the podcast, which is one of my best thing now, that open up other opportunities like my YouTube channel and the Twitch stuff, you know. And that's due to basically every day from, I left university until now, trying to find a way to basically turn what I love to do and such like that into an income generating thing. And so I don't really know. Let's see what I can, the summary which I can get from this, because it's a bit of rambling. So my closing thing would be that the compound interest and compound learning. If you have no money, if you're starting from zero and such like that, those are two skills that can help you progress if you are starting from nothing. How basically every day you're, instead of, if you don't have any money to basically go out and try invest in something or something like that, you can learn something new. Reading is free. Learning to read is free. Everything is, learning something new. Talking to people is free. Going out, walking, and such like that. Many of those stuff are free, and just some of my best, some of my podcast episodes is just basically based on me just basically walking outside, and then the idea just come to me. So every day you basically try to learn something new. Try to read a book about something. Or if you find out about something that you're interested in, find out how the full length of it, and then how you can apply it to yourself. And if you can, find a way how to monetize it. One of my when I was at university, I was never had nothing to do with accounting or something like that. But my third year, I take up treasure. I became a treasurer and started selling juice. And how I turned this monopoly from what it was before into something better, where I end up making the thing a profit and making so much money from it, was basically applying my science knowledge into it. I find out what was the problem why we were making that much money, which was basically a lack of fridge with a lock on it. So the drinks that we were basically trying to sell was basically getting stale most of the time. So if I get a fridge with a lock on it to basically keep it cool and keep it safe, we'll start making more profit from the juice. And basically by me just actually doing that and solving that problem, we make so much profit that we end up get to go on a cluster trip, enter every cluster event, and I have money left over for the next person that came in after me, because it was one last year. They came in with profit. And I have that person that took over the monopoly after I left on the podcast. And if you would have listened to him, he would say that year after they became so rich that they basically was just entering event just for entering the event. So that is the power of you just basically taking small steps every day, and then over time those small steps just become exponential and or just grow big, and then boom, you became just this rich person after a rich person just offer simple information. So that's my basically 2 cents on that. So yeah, look forward for the next episode.
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page, Reframing Mindset Podcast, or on Twitter at ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.
But my nervousness, when playing basketball. Yeah. So let's get into it. So I was introduced officially to basketball in high school. If you watch listen to how I got into basketball, it was one of those early episodes. I know that I've heard and I've seen the USA Olympics played one time, and from then I never really introduced to basketball in high school. And if you have known about my high school introduction to it, is that that my first game, my first official scene, courtside, seeing a basketball game being played was seeing the team that I was on getting demolished by one dude from another school using one move, killing the whole, yeah, just killing the whole side.